to hell is paved with good intentions, kind of makes you wonder what the road to heaven is paved with. Like what, hookers and cocaine? Like really? The road to heaven is paved with the skulls of dead infants? Like the road to heaven is paved with a daily mini marathon of Family Matters on TBS? Like, I don't get it. Sayings don't make sense. This is actually kind of a sad day for me. We had to ask the pastor at my church to resign. He was a really good guy, don't get me wrong, but he's one of those New Age pastors who likes to relate the Bible to like the new pop culture and everything, which is cool. But he took it a step too far when he started referring to God's commandment of "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife" as bros before hoes. But he is still my personal pastor. My grandpa died. Don't be sad. He was 90. That's what they do. But I inherited his camper, which was cool. And like I was going around town to try to find like RV parks where I can park it at. And I found this really cool place out, like kind of out in the sticks a little bit. And it was a nice area. I liked it. So I went to go talk to the office manager to try to, get some pricing and everything. He was really nice. We made a deal. I signed the papers. And like when I reached out my hand to shake his hand, he stood up. And I noticed that he wasn't wearing pants. Now, like, I don't have a business degree or anything, but I'm pretty sure that shit is covered in day one. Okay, like the first day of business school is customer is always right. Don't get high on your own supply, and wear pants when you're talking to customers. I mean, it goes on an index card that you keep in your back pocket. And if you don't have a back pocket, you've already fucked up. I don't really like the new millennium that we're in. I feel that we're living in a dangerous time. And if you question that, the only evidence that I need is that there was a time in this country when we thought of Billy Joel as the bad boy of rock and roll. Like, I know of bands like Slipknot and Marilyn Manson who sing songs about murdering babies. Billy Joel wore a leather jacket. Not to mention he dated an uptown girl against the wishes of her father. What a badass. I mean, your band might throw blood and semen onto their audiences, but Billy Joel's got a sweet pair of sunglasses, so step aside, Gwar. Tell you a little bit about myself. I have a horrible phobia of dogs. And like, I'm not talking about just big scary dogs either. I'm talking like poodles, chihuahuas. Any kind of dog terrifies the shit out of me. And it's really problematic because of how integral of a part they play in day-to-day life. And it was horrible recently when I went on a date, and the young lady was not aware of this about me. So when I went to go pick her up, I wasn't only greeted by her at the door, but by her extremely friendly and enthusiastic fox terrier. Now, being the manly man that I am, I shrieked like a little girl, ran into her yard, climbed up her tree, and yelled, "Get that thing away from me!" So after she had tamed this beast and put it somewhere where it can't hurt me anymore, I climbed down the tree, and I remember, I'm on a date. I'm trying to impress this woman. And the only thing that I could think to say was, "So what did you think of my squirrel impression?" No? Really? All right. That one works. So one thing that really is hard about being a comedian is that you miss a lot of holidays with your family. And one holiday that I don't ever regret missing is Thanksgiving. Because you got to understand, I come from one of those families where there are like 55 people that come to Thanksgiving dinner, and we like go around the table and do that thing where everyone says what they're thankful for, which is cool, but when you're the 52nd out of 55 to go, you have really got to dig deep, okay? Because like the first 10 get the easy ones, they're like, I'm thankful for Jesus, I'm thankful for my family, yada, 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 and it gets progressively harder, okay? Like, and I'm like way there at the end, and my 5-year-old cousin right next to me is all like, I'm thankful for ice cream Snickers bars. I'm just like, you little shit, you stole mine. I was listening in an interview, and I learned that Elton John is celebrating 20 years of sobriety. That's pretty awesome, right? Like, and I want to congratulate him and everything, but then I did the math. And I was like, 20 years. That means he stopped drinking and doing drugs in 1989, right around the time his music started to suck. It's like, come on, Elton. I am all about you trying to better yourself, but not at the expense of the glorious melodies that you could have been continuing to bring us for the last 2 decades. If it wasn't for Disney, you'd be out of a job. I mean, there are other guys out there that never stopped doing the drugs, that went the distance. You know, guys like Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. You could have been one of those guys, Elton, but nope, you Chevy chased it. That's right, I just came up with a verb. I have this boss who likes to leave a jar full of gummy bears in a table in the lobby that people can come by and grab as they want, which is really cool, but he takes it way too seriously. We had this 3-hour conversation about maintaining the integrity of the gummy bears. He was mad at me because I left them out on a Friday night one time when I left, and he was mad because apparently that made them go bad over the weekend. And I don't know what he's getting at. It's like, what? You leave them out on a Friday night, they'll start hanging out with the Sour Patch Kids? And then one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, they're doing lines of pixie sticks and using Twizzler ropes to tie up and force the old Fun Dip into Mary Jane's Hershey Highway, while all the while yelling, "Who's your sugar daddy?" That right there was the equivalent of an applause break with this crowd. So I will take it. My girlfriend broke up with me on the same day that my divorce got finalized. That was pretty awesome. And the reason why she broke up with me is because we had to have that conversation about our sexual histories, which just sucks, but it's an important one to have after you've been with someone for long enough. And I can't remember what it was that I said, but it actually motivated her to use the words, "You might want to leave that part out when my mom asks about it." Now, I'm going to go ahead and ignore how blatantly inappropriate it would be for her mom to ask me about my sexual history, and instead, I wanted to come up with the coolest answer I could give for when and if she does. And I narrowed it down to 2, so help me out. Number 1. I thought you might ask, so I brought along this PowerPoint presentation. And number 2. Do you want to know about everybody or just the women that I fucked in your family? I was watching the news, and I discovered that there was this guy who had met a girl on the internet, and he had been talking to her for about 3 weeks, and when he and then they agreed to meet in person, and when he got there, it turns out she was 7 years old. Okay, so he gets arrested and picked up by the cops, and his excuse was, "She never told me her age." And I don't buy that. Okay, granted, maybe she didn't, but when you asked her what her interests are and her answer was coloring and counting to 10, that should have raised a few red flags. Okay? I mean, I understand that you're trying to pad your resume, but being a guest star on How to Catch a Predator is not the way to go about it. All right. Now, granted, it's prime time, but so was Saved by the Bell, and that didn't do shit for Dustin Diamond. So I was hanging out with these 4 women a couple weeks ago. It was just them and me, and they kept calling each other cocksucker like it was an insult, and I didn't get it because they were all straight women, you know, I had to explain to them, it's what, do you not realize that if it wasn't for gay guys, you would be the only demographic that engages in this activity? You know? It's when me and my boys get together, we're not sitting there calling each other muff diver. Well, okay, we are, but it's usually in the context of a high five, not talking shit. You know? One straight chick calling another straight chick a cocksucker, that would be like if a black guy called another black guy a... Oh, wait, they actually do that. Now I get it. You know, a lot of times when people watch my comedy, they mistake me for being a real sexist and a chauvinist. And it really pisses me off because, I'm a West Coast boy, and I was raised by feminists, and I'm a believer in the feminist cause. In fact, I kind of consider myself an honorary woman, but that's mostly because I drive like shit and I cry when I don't get my way. And that's my big closer.